It's 10:30 on the News and Talk of San Antonio, 550 KTSA. Jack Riccardi, our gang of four is here today. All very good looking. It's just that, for whatever reason, only Nico LaHood gets the attention. But all of our gang members deserve it today. Jade Esteban Estrada and Robert Fleming and Nico LaHood. And you're on 550 KTSA at 599-5555. Well, we were talking about Rick Perry. For a while, it looked like it was Rick Perry's race to win. But now there is a new guy with the big mo after his debate performance, after winning the Florida straw poll. It turns out that the top tier of candidates now in the polls are Romney, Perry, and Herman Cain. Here's Herman Cain's answer in the September 22nd debate about how he believes Obamacare would literally have killed him.
The reason I said that I would be dead on Obamacare is because my cancer was detected in March of 2006. And from March of 2006 all the way to the end of 2006, for that number of months, I was able to get the necessary CAT scan tests, go to the necessary doctors, get a second opinion, get chemotherapy, go to get surgery, recuperate from surgery, get more chemotherapy in a span of 9 months. If we had been on the Obamacare and a bureaucrat was trying to tell me when I could get that CAT scan, that would have delayed my treatment. My surgeons and doctors have told me that because I was able to get the treatment as fast as I could, based upon my timetable and not the government's timetable, that's what saved my life, because I only had a 30% chance of survival. And now I'm here 5 years cancer-free because I could do it on my timetable and not on a bureaucrat's timetable.
You know what I like about him is he can describe his health in a minute. I wish I had some... Man, I wish I knew some people like that in real life. You know, you ask them how they are and it takes only a minute to answer. But seriously, that kind of answer is a breakthrough. People notice. I mean, Jade, that's the kind of conversation that even someone who's completely uninterested in politics, if they're just flipping by the TV, it gets your attention.
It's a human story, sure. Sure.
But it's a human story, but it allows him to both tell a story and make a point.
Mm-hmm. And it crosses party lines.
Yeah.
It appeals to everybody.
Yeah, who's in favor of cancer.
Absolutely.
Hey,
it appeals to everyone.
I walked the same walk in exactly the same time frame.
Yes.
March of 2009 to December of 2009. The man is speaking the truth. And that's why he's catching fire. He's speaking the truth. He's not making promises. He's saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is what it's all about. And it is what it is. We have to deal with the facts, folks.
So, I mean, I love this guy, even though Sarah Palin is referring to him as Herb Cain. Apparently he's got a little work. He's got a little work to do.
As much as I like Sarah Palin, this is the last time when she got into it with Juan Williams last night, I think. Shark jump.
Name? Yeah.
Shark jump.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
you're done, girlfriend.
She is kind of looking like last year's model, but look, here's what I hear about Herman Cain. And Nico, you're the politician in the room. Look, people will say, I love him, but, and then it goes one of two ways.
Right.
He can't win. Or, I love him, but, you know, he ran Godfather's Pizza, business, no experience. We have no idea what he would do.
He's got way more experience.
What do you say to that?
I think maybe that's what people want. I mean, his pitch to people is, I'm not a politician. I'm not skewed by Washington. I'm going to go in there and do what's best for you. I've been in your shoes.
Now, we've heard that before.
Right.
We say we want it, but then we don't vote for it.
Well, you have to look at his intention. He's not, as I've said before, he's not a prostitute to the process, right? I mean, he has plenty of money. I don't think he's doing this for the money.
No.
He's not. I mean, what does he need to do this for? I mean, he's lived his life. He's done well for himself. He's blessed his family, and now he wants to bless other people in America. And I think he sounds very sincere to me.
Would he not qualify as a true patriot based on that criteria?
He's the American story. I mean, he started off working with nothing and built his way up. And he's very.
The other thing I like about Herman Cain is that, and I've seen him. I think someone asked him several months ago about, you know, the Palestinian right to return issue, and he was very honest. He says, "Look, I don't know a lot about that, but I tell you what, I'm going to go find out about it." You know, instead of trying to tap dance his way around.
That's great. And I've answered questions like that before during the campaign. I mean, I think you've put yourself in more trouble, i.e., Rick Perry, if you just try to BS through an answer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You try to BS, and it's just
Better
saying,
to fall on the
because
sword.
how does it hurt you? If you're an intelligent person, if you don't know it now, you're going to find out about it, and surround yourself with people that do, and then you'll make the call as the leader.
Because I mean,
couldn't agree
really,
with you more.
as the president, that's what it's really all about. Is that, you know, I don't think anybody really expects the president of the United States to have the answer to everything.
No.
I mean,
Well, this one.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he set it up that way, because he led us to believe he had the answer.
But
to
Robert,
everything.
you're the businessman in the room.
Yep.
Let me ask you. I mean, I agree. Look, we should hire a chief executive. That's what the job is. That's
Yep.
literally what it is.
Yep.
And yet, after we always say this is what we want, we wind up going with the political experience. And I wonder if that's just because our software or our filtering is geared to the guy who says, I've been in the Senate, I've been a governor, I've been in Congress, I've passed bills. We just don't seem to be able to put into practice what we say we want.
But in this cycle, that argument doesn't help the person. So you just,
You would think.
I would think
You
what
would
we may
think,
see
right?
in
We'll
this
see.
cycle that's exactly, Nico's exactly right. The fact that he doesn't have all that may actually be a positive for him. I think that part of it too is that when push comes to shove, it's, you know, what do I think they're going to do for me that is painless? No one really, everybody says we want to change things, but once we figure out what the pain part of that changing of the thing is, then all of a sudden we don't want it anymore. We're like, oh, well, I only meant a little change, not a lot of change. I don't want to have to do that, you know.
Jade, what would a national election campaign next year and a series of debates between Barack Obama and Herman Cain, what would that be like?
I didn't know you were going to ask me those two people.
Well, I think we expected one of them to be in there, right?
Right. But what was coming to mind is there's such a campaign against Obama's the fact that we went with inexperience, quote unquote, that I think a lot of people who are on the fence, you know, the people that, you know, wait to the last minute to decide who they're going to vote for, they might just feel really tentative about voting for someone who hasn't been around it or has lots of experience.
So does dominating Cain, in essence, give up the experience argument? You don't get to make that argument?
I think people will go, as much as it sounds good, I don't know if I want to make that same mistake again.
You're going down the better the devil you know.
I think not me personally, but I just feel that
There's a lot of people will go better the devil. At least he's a known quantity, okay? But I think if Cain is the eventual nominee, and I think, 2 months ago everybody said there ain't no way. Now they're saying could be a very big way. If he clearly points out, the man is highly educated.
Mm-hmm.
He took over Godfather's Pizza, turned it around.
Yep.
He was the president of the National Restaurant Association, which is no small job in that industry. He's been a talk radio host in Atlanta, had a very successful program for a number of years, so he's very well regarded that way. I think
He has guest hosted this show, which I can tell you we've never had a president who guest hosted this show before.
And you very well may.
So in essence, I might say I'm more
You're a
experienced.
kingmaker.
I could be the president. All right, let me ask you this. What are on a scale of 1 to 10, what are his chances?
I think he's about a 6.5 right now.
I'll
Nico?
say 5 to 6. 5.
Jade?
3 to 4.
Jade's not believing it yet. Not feeling it yet.
Hey,
And I'm sure that's racism.
Well, think about who's there. Mitt has a chance, obviously. Unfortunately, Perry does. I mean, Cain does, and who else?
Isn't Mitt Romney the guy that you feel like, he can beat Obama? I'm just not sure that I'm excited about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Cain is like, that's would blow the doors off politics. I mean, that's you have to go back to Wendell Willkie in 1940 for a national candidate who's just come out of nowhere and is not a politician. Of course, he lost. But, when does that ever happen, right?
Well, does Cain, if he doesn't get the nomination, does someone ask him to be his running mate or her running mate, right? I mean, we don't know also.
Right.
That's a possibility.
It's a possibility. But you know what? It just came to me when we talk about Herman Cain and this and that. I have 2 words for you. Jesse Ventura. He was able to get himself elected the governor of Minnesota.
It's Jesse the Body.
Not really liking that comparison.
No. What I'm saying is, I lived in Minnesota at that time and the run up to it. And Minnesota voters are pretty darn sophisticated. and don't really agree with their politics, but they're very darn sophisticated. And, you know, enough people that were moderates or independents, you know, wanted a change from the typical political thing that they had going on there for years and years and years, and put the guy in office. Now, he ended up being a total disaster and kind of a joke, but the fact of the matter is that it can happen.
Yeah. All right, so will the 2012 race be Kane versus Unable? We will see. It's 10:40. More Gang of Four coming up on 550 KTSA.
Yeah, I heard that the other night. Kane versus Unable. I almost fell out the chair. Like, that's a good one.
I went to...
It was hard.
Still,
It was hard. It's 10:50 on the News and Talk of San Antonio, 550 KTSA. We've been talking a lot of politics on our Gang of Four today, just because there's been a lot of politics in the news. I promise we will get to some other things, but I got to ask you guys, because you all were talking about him during one of the breaks. Another name who's been in the news this week is Chris Christie.
Yep.
What must it be like to be that guy? To be a guy who has to keep saying, really, I assure you, I am not running. And to have people, and not just, not just anybody, but, bigwigs, powerful people, people who can write, big checks, on their knees in Trenton. Please, we need you. What must that be like?
I can't imagine the pressure, but really, if he changes his mind and decides to do it, how do you, you're the political, how do you spin that deal? What do I have to do? Commit suicide? I'm not ready. I'm not doing it. I've got work to do. That's the ultimate flip-flop, and I don't really see how he can overcome that, I just don't.
Well, Nico, I think the way you would overcome it is you would do what is a tradition in American politics. You would say, it's my duty, I'm answering the call.
Right.
We've had reluctant or seemingly reluctant people before. It is puzzling to me, though, because I think of Chris Christie, and I like him, by the way. I like the way he comes across, and I like the things he says. Wow. But he's not unique. The same day he was elected governor of New Jersey, a guy named, what's his name, Bob Mc... I can't even think of his last name now. They elected a governor in Virginia, rather, the same day.
Oh yeah.
Also a conservative
right.
Republican. Mm-hmm. Also a budget cutter. Also a guy that's been very controversial. Also a guy who's very popular in his state. He's actually much more telegenic, and why not him? Why not any number of other people? Why Chris Christie? Is it because, Jade, we're kind of intrigued by the guy that's not interested? Sort of like, in the same way that men and women interact, sometimes women are intrigued by the man who's not trying to get their attention.
Yeah, he's the pretty one.
He's the cool guy in the room.
Yeah.
Everybody wants what they can't have.
Exactly.
Well, does that tell you that these big donors, they're not confident with who's on the field now? I think that sends kind of a message that why would they be on him to run if they're happy with who's in the race now? Why do they want to have two good candidates eat each other up?
Well, you already have 9 candidates. You have 2 or 3 that are pretty heavy hitters right now. It doesn't seem like a short field or a weak field. Plus, you're running against a president who, at the moment, according to the polls, is within striking distance of almost every one of these declared candidates. Right? It looks like several of them right now would give him quite a race. So, what is it about Christie? Is it just that he's
There's
he's
a lot
aloof?
to be said for that.
Maybe that's the way to run.
He's not so polished either. He's kind of, you've seen all the stuff in the news about him getting sideways with people, and he kind of talks a little rough and kind of a husky guy, no nonsense guy, straight shooter. I've heard more than one of his speeches, and he appeals to me. So he's.
Nico, you just like everybody. Come on now, you're so nice. Isn't there anybody you don't like?
Not everybody.
No, but everybody we've talked about, you're like, yeah, he's a good guy.
I don't like Rick Perry. I didn't say.
Oh, you didn't say that about Rick Perry.
That's right. Rubber blow dry.
He likes everybody here, though.
Correct.
Well, that's
very
good
much.
for right now.
That's a good thing. All right, we're back with more Gang of Four and the news. It's 10:54 on the News and Talk of San Antonio, 550 KTSA.